Hey, John, I got the new door access system ready. We can get rid of keys and go to cards and do all the cool stuff.
What vendor did you choose?
Well, I mean, we use Ubiquiti for everything, right?
Oh, you got the UniFi Access system?
John, you're not telling me it's the CVE of the week, is it?
Yeah. It's Friday, November 7th, and this is the IT SPARC Cast CVE of the week, where we pick a common vulnerability exposure entry that you need to know about and how to mitigate ASAP. And today we're talking about a solution that we're big fans of, UniFi. And UniFi Access, which is their system for being able to control doors and security cameras and being able to handle on-premise security, has a major vulnerability that's got a 10.0 on the CVSS score, which is as Lou likes to call it, the oh crap-o-meter, and this is about as big as it gets.
Yeah, and this is, by the way, the access portion of this is just highlighting a bug in UniFi OS. There could be other ways to get to this.
Absolutely. We're going to talk
So
about
what
that at
is
the
this?
end. So this is CVE 2025-52665. And this is a vulnerability in the Ubiquiti Access Management API, which allows for a misconfiguration to be put in, and then through missing because the system doesn't have authentication on some of these APIs, and then allows for a bad actor to then execute remote code. And so this is an opportunity to get access to the full management network. Keep that in mind as we get back to this a little later. And so the scope is that if you have any of the UniFi Access application versions from 3.321 up to 3.4.31, you are affected. So, but this is fixed in 4.0.21 and later. So make sure that you are getting those patches and getting them installed. And it does require network access to the management interface, which you're going to have. Now, you might not expose that to the public, but again, those chain attacks, if somebody can get into your network and they get onto your management network, then they have unfettered access here, and you are completely pwned. So again, this is a 10.0 on the CVSS score, and this is particularly acute where physical access and management networks are less isolated. So a lot of people don't put their management networks on as separate. They don't put them on separate VLANs. They don't isolate them off with intrusion protection. And that's where this problem gets really, really bad. Again, if there's a chain attack, they get into your management network anyway, you're still vulnerable, but it's a lot easier to attack you if your management plane is connected right to the main network.
So how does this work?
So the vulnerability targets physical security and access control systems, which is the door access credentials, via a misconfigured API. And this is blending physical and cyber risk all at once. So attackers who succeeds could potentially manipulate door credentials. They could read access logs. They could disrupt availability of access systems, or even escalate the physical access of broader network compromises. So that's the really scary part. But I want to bring up what's mostly scary. This could potentially be used to lock the doors and not allow them to be unlocked. So think about that in a situation where there's an emergency, if there's a fire or whatever. So this could get really dangerous really quick. So by all means, stop what you're doing and make sure you're running on the current rev of code, because this is not only is there a security risk, there is a health risk here. There is a human risk here, and that's the worst kind of IT risk you could have. And this is just one of those things. So I think that the question that comes up from this is, are smart buildings a bad idea? And I think that there's a lot of opportunities to take things like this and say, this is why I don't do smart things. So this is why I don't do IoT. This is why I don't do this. And I get it, but non-smart things can also have failures. They can also be compromised. A lock can be picked
pretty quickly, within 30 seconds for most of them.
There are problems out there in the physical world as well. So don't let this scare you from going down the IoT and smart building route. But as with anything, make sure that you are keeping tabs on what's going on your network. Make sure you're getting updated, update regularly, and read the release notes for your updates. Again, a lot of work. Maybe have an AI agent that's monitoring all the release notes and highlighting key things to you. Do something, but you have to be aware of what's going on out there.
Also understand that this fault is in. So I have my management interface up right here in front of me. So if you go to your control plane of your gateway and go, like I have a UCG Max, so it runs all the applications locally. Maybe you're running them on a Raspberry Pi or in a virtual machine. You do you. We can always do it. If you do not have access installed, you do not have those APIs. That, I think, is the mechanism. Now, the challenge I have with this is, what are they going to find when they look at the other APIs? Because these exploits tend not to be in isolation. There's usually a pattern to the way that they've architected their APIs. I can guarantee you their team is looking very closely at the other APIs for similar errors right now. So keep an eye on this.
And that is a good thing, so if you find a hole somewhere, that means there's probably a hole somewhere else. So for them to we're assuming that they're going and combing through the code. That's what I would do. That's what Lou would do.
Yeah,
to start finding those things like that. But that is going to wrap up today's episode. We couldn't do this podcast without listeners like you. We want to hear what you think. Do you think that this is as big a deal as we're saying it is, or is it's just a door? It's not that big a deal. We want to know. Are there other topics you want us to cover? Send email to feedback@itsparkcast.com or hit us up on X at IT SPARC Cast. We're also on LinkedIn. All those links are in our show notes if you want to go there. If you're watching on YouTube, you can leave a comment down below. We read every single comment, every piece of feedback that we get. We respond to most. And if it's particularly interesting or insightful, we will read it out on our broadcast. We actually didn't get any comments on last week's Halloween episode. Maybe I think the spooky music might have scared some people off, but we'll keep that in mind going forward. Be sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notification. That's going to make sure that you never miss an episode. It's also going to help this podcast grow. And from the world of enterprise IT and security, take care.
Stay safe out there, okay?
Now I have complete control over their unified door locks.